So I was reading through a few different headlines from a few different outlets, and the story that I've been aware of for a little while now came across my screen, and I thought, you know what, why not give you my opinion on this subject, because I do have something to say, and it does relate to my experience as a gamer. And I'm talking about Tim Schafer and Double Fine, which, if you aren't familiar with them, this is a company that has been around for quite a while and has earned quite a reputation. This was a company that made unique games that, unfortunately, were largely commercial failures. And I know that that's something that a lot of people are going to take umbrage with, but I'm sorry. Double Fine did not make games that were hits outside of being cult hits. And that's not to say that, every game needs to be fucking Call of Duty. Every game needs to be The Sims. Every game needs to sell 6 million, 10 million copies. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that there are games that I have purchased that I am fine with in terms of the quality and what I got for the money that was spent. But with Double Fine, it is a fact that the games that they make are commercial failures, more so on the part of the people making them than on the audience that are receiving them. They are making games that are not being received well because the games they are making are shit. And that is something that has been constant with Double Fine. And I don't want to hear anyone talk to me about, have I played Brutal Legend? Have I played their older titles? I have played their older titles. And my opinion is that these games are not good. They are overrated and poorly developed. I'm aware that there are people that are still going to have their rose-colored fucking spectacles, and they're going to want to, again, disagree with this opinion. But here's what I'm just going to present to you, because I know a lot of people are aware at this point that I consider BioWare to be the Enron of gaming. But in my opinion, Tim Schafer and Double Fine are the Bernie Madoff of gaming, to where the only reason they are still around is because of you people giving them your money. And it's amazing that despite what they have done, despite who they are, people still give them money. And it makes no fucking sense, because the games that they are delivering are not good. But let's recap. Let's go over the recent history of Double Fine and Tim Schafer. So a while back, Tim Schafer split off from a publisher. He lost his ability to actually have someone invest in his games because his games are not good and are not commercial hits. Do not sell. Not because it's just a matter of people aren't interested. It's also, on top of that, that the games that are being produced by Double Fine are just not good games. And so back in 2010, the head of Activision, which is a major publisher, referenced Tim Schafer after Tim Schafer called him a total prick and insulted him. The CEO of Activision gave this quote to Edge magazine at the time. I've never met him in my life. I've never had anything to do with him. I've never had any involvement in the Vivendi project that they're doing, Brutal Legend, other than I was in one meeting where the guys looked at it and said, he's late, he's missed every milestone, he's overspent the budget, and it doesn't seem like a good game. We're going to cancel it. And you know what? That seemed like the sensible thing to do. And it turns out he was late. He missed every milestone. The game was not a particularly good game. So this was said back in 2010. And this is what this guy is known for. Not Bobby Kotick, anyway, in terms of him being at Activision. I don't need to defend him. But Tim Schafer. Tim Schafer is not liked in the gaming industry, especially by publishers, because this guy does not know what the fuck he is doing. He is not a good manager. He is not good at managing money, time, or creating good games. This was recognized by the industry, by the head of Activision, all the way back in fucking 2010, and even before that. This guy had an established fucking reputation. But that didn't stop them from creating what was known as the Double Fine Adventure Kickstarter, which was started up, I believe, in 2012 or maybe 2011. I'm not quite sure. But they raised $3.3 million when they were looking for just $400,000. And from that $3.3 million, many promises were made. And what came of that massive amount of money was Broken Age and a game called Space Base DF-9. What did people say about this Kickstarter? This was a lot of money raised, and already Double Fine had a very poor reputation. Well, in the games media, the circle jerk happened, the circling of the wagons happened, the poo-pooing of Kodiak and any gamer that happened to think, you know, this may not be a wise investment. It might not be a good idea with giving Bernie Madoff more of my money because he's not going to do anything with it. And so the press circle jerked and circled the wagons and said, why don't you fuck off? Because this is just gamer entitlement. This is just baseless shit by gamers that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So how did the development of Broken Age go? Well, it was a fucking disaster. They ran out of fucking money. And so what happened to this $3.3 million? Well, who the fuck knows? Because Broken Age, when it was released, only the first act was released. The first half of the game, this walking simulator, this hobbled-together narrative game was released on Steam, half of it anyways, and it was used in part to fund the remainder of the game. And so you look at this game and you say, well, what was the end of that game? What was the final product that we were given? Well, it was a piece of shit. It was a piece of shit. It was a completely overblown garbage narrative game that makes Life is Strange look like fucking Shakespeare, and it makes Telltale look like the best in the business. This game was crap. And it not only was it crap, it was a commercial failure. And that's not my opinion. That's Tim Schafer's admission. This game was a fucking disaster. This game was a piece of fucking shit no one wanted, but people spent millions of their own dollars on. Gamers are responsible for this game being made. And so what about that other game? What about Space Base DF-9? Well, this was another fucking disaster, as it was shoveled out on Steam, unfinished, and then abandoned by Double Fine. They gave up on finishing the remainder of this game, and it was just stuck on Steam, and that was the end of it, because they ran out of money. They didn't have the money to actually finish the fucking game, and so they gave up on it. And again, this is just 2 games with $3.3 million. From there, Double Fine went on to kickstart their next game called Massive Chalice, which unfortunately I was a backer for. I actually bought the narrative on this game, and this was prior to Gamergate and all of that, so I didn't really know the true colors of Tim Schafer himself. I just bought into the hype, like so many people did. And so this game actually had a $700,000 goal, $725K to be exact, and it raised $1.2 million. And despite the fact that they raised nearly another $500,000 with this game, the final product was a fucking disaster. They had cut back on many of the aspects to this game. It was very simplistic. The art style was shit. It was very limited in terms of what you could do or the characters you could play or even the aspects of the gameplay. Very limited. Very basic. All the customization that they elaborated on, barely any of it was in the final product. It was more stat-based than anything else, and those stats barely mattered. This was a disaster. Again, another fucking disaster that gamers had paid for. And we don't even need to get into the whole drama of Tim Schafer himself, his personality, his asshole behavior in terms of him mocking Gamergate or mocking gamers or flipping the bird in general towards all the people that helped him and his company stay in business. But like any good fucking shyster, it never ends there. There's always another con on the horizon. And in this case, it's Psychonauts 2. This Kickstarter that is nearly at completion for another $3 million for what is going to be unequivocally a watered-down shit final product. And here's the problem, guys. It's not as though some publisher got duped into giving this fucking guy money. You people did. You, the consumers, got duped yet again by this motherfucker to give him all of this money. It is amazing to me that despite the fact that this guy has earned this infamous reputation as being a fucking piece of shit and a total fucking con artist, he can still raise millions of dollars to continue his existence in this fucking industry. Because without this money, he'd be gone. He would not be in the gaming industry anymore. No one would give this guy a fucking dime. And rightfully so. This guy has earned his fucking reputation. This, to me, is one of the criticisms that could be laid at the feet of gamers, is gullibility in investing money in what is going to be a shit product. This guy is not going to give you a game that is in any way comparable to the first Psychonauts, unless the first Psychonauts was a piece of shit. That's the only way it's going to be equitable, is if the original game was a piece of shit as well. Because that's the only product you're going to get for these millions of dollars you've sunk into this fucking Ponzi scheme. You're not getting any return. You're not getting anything back. You're just being spoon-fed nostalgia. And, like, I don't know what to tell you. You fucking people bought it. You fucking people are going with this guy. And you're going to fucking continue his fucking lifestyle. This Bay Area cunt. It's about keeping him and his friends employed. That is all they're after. And you people, you fucking idiots, are giving him exactly what he wants. And unfortunately, this is the case where you just have to look at a kid in the face and say, no, you know what? Go ahead and fucking touch the stove. Smack your fucking hand right on that stove. Because that's the only fucking way people are going to get it. It's the only fucking way people are going to understand that this guy has no place in the industry. It's for people, for gamers, for the consumers to get burned. That's the only way anyone's going to fucking learn. And I have to apologize for my attitude in this. I have to apologize for the fact that I am so negative in this commentary. But this to me is such a simple thing to see as an issue that could be remedied simply by not doing anything. Unfortunately, gamers have no time or interest in actually pursuing, consumer protections or real issues in gaming. But that's just where we are. That's just where we are right now, nearing the end of 2015. So I thank you for listening, and whatever. I hope you didn't fucking waste your money on this goddamn game.